Good morning, and welcome to the head coach press conference for the 105th Rose Bowl game presented by Northwestern Mutual. We're fortunate today to have with us Ohio State head coach Urban Meyer and Washington head coach Chris Peterson. As a reminder for the media, transcripts, audio, and video from today's press conference will be available at collegepressbox.com. Before we open the floors to questions, I'd like to turn things over to Coach Meyer for opening remarks.
Well, thank you. Honored to be here and represent the Big Ten Conference and the great state of Ohio. Coach Peterson and I have been friends a long time. I've admired his programs to the point that I actually went and visited him when he was at Boise State. And I've often told the story, I'm not sure I told Chris this, that in 2006 I was in Florida playing Ohio State, ironically for the national title, and they were playing Oklahoma a few days before us, and I was trying to get some sleep. And that's when they did the hook and ladder and the statue. And Shelley punched me in the side and said, well, why don't you be creative like Chris and run plays like that? So I still hold that against Chris. We're honored to be here. The Rose Bowl committee and hospitality in Los Angeles has been awesome, and we hope to perform well and make the granddaddy of all the most watched bowl game of the season.
Thanks, Coach. And now, Coach Peterson.
Yeah, this has been an awesome week. This has been something that I think our staff, a lot of people from the state of Washington have been longing to come back here. And, after the week of being here, you can see why. First-class operation, going to play an elite team. It is kind of ironic being here with Urban, going back with him and some of the notes we've compared and shared, and you always want to play in something like this, and then sometimes you end up, it's like you're playing a game that you thought about all along, and you look and you say, it's going to be against him? But we are honored and proud. I'm proud of our team, how hard those kids have battled, been through a lot of different things. Hadn't been easy, but it never is. And we're excited to be here and play a great Ohio State team for sure.
Thanks, Coach. Before we open the floor to questions, I just want to remind everyone that the coaches will be doing a joint photo with the trophy, and we will escort you or announce your opportunity to stand up and take a picture. So at this time, we'll open the floor to comments. Please wait until you have a microphone in hand and state your name and outlet. Questions? Dom in the back.
Dom Taberi, WBNS TV. Urban, obviously this is your last go-around. You've never coached in this game. What has this experience been like for you, and is this a fitting ending, this bowl game?
Well, it's I don't want to devalue the experience, but we're here to win a football game, and that the best part of a bowl experience is doing your very best to go win and win in it. So we have been working very hard on that, realizing who we're playing and how good they are. So it's been a great experience, and this has been a bucket list item since I started coaching. Been close several times, including when I was a GA at Ohio State back in '86. We came very close to coming to the Rose Bowl. Throughout my head coaching career, we had opportunities that I thought we were going, and we ended up going in another bowl game. So it's I can't imagine a better opportunity a better bowl game to go play, but we try and avoid that at all costs, because any distraction other than getting ready to play is not, we're not going to allow that, and that's get ready to go play this game.
Gentleman in the white hat.
Austin Ward, Letterman wrote, Urban, with vast players this a bunch of times, do they get nervous before games? But I don't think I've ever asked you, do you get nervous for games, and does tomorrow and what it means make it any different for you?
I don't think nervous is a strong enough term before a game. Deathly ill might be more appropriate. Yeah, you get very nervous, and once again, it's not about the coach, it's about the player. We do everything we do, really up to, we call it the 48-hour rule. Everything we do up until game time is to make sure they're not in that. But I don't want to speak for Chris, but we actually have talked about this over the years, and absolutely, what runs through a coach's mind is every scenario that happens. It's not fair to that player to not be prepared when that hits. And some people say, well, they just got to shoot from the hip, and we don't believe in that. We believe in trying to put them in those many positions as you can, so when it does hit, they know how to react. So nervous is probably not a strong enough word.
Next question. Pink shirt, third row.
Yes, Bill Rabinowitz from the Columbus Dispatch for Urban. You were inside the Rose Bowl yesterday for the first time, I presume, ever. What was that like for you? And I know you've told the story of being kicked out before.
Well, I had to ask to go in it because I've never been in to see it. And back in the 90s, I can't remember exactly what year, I drove by it and stopped. And I used to recruit out here all the time. And I stopped, and I was going to try to sneak peek inside because I've heard about it for so many years and watched it. And I was told to leave. And I might add, the guy was real rude too, but it was awesome, and I wasn't able to completely see the mountains, but I'm sure we'll see that. I keep hearing that on tomorrow.
Next question. Gentleman in the
Ari Wasserman, The Athletic. Urban, I know that this is an important time for your team and for you personally. It's also a pretty big transitional period in terms of the program. How has Ryan Day handled this, and how have you seen people reacting to him? Are people different with him? Is he kind of changing into the head coach persona that you might see? Like, what's this transition been like?
I couldn't have been better, recruiting. I think Ryan and the staff absolutely did exceptional on signing date. We didn't have the numbers, but the quality of players that we signed was, I know, top 2 or 3 in America. I know there were a couple at the end, but we also got a couple at the end. So I thought it's been phenomenal. Bob Stoops is a great friend, and we actually talked about this. I can't imagine it's not every coach's dream to hand it off to someone that you really believe can make it stronger, and not a bunch of people lose their jobs. And the foundation is so strong at Ohio State, the culture is so strong that, and it certainly wasn't me, it was all of us, and everyone's in place. And Ryan's going to do exceptional. He's an elite coach, and I think he's handled the transition. Just ask our players. It's been awesome, and I can't wait to see what he does.
gentleman over there.
Yeah, Tim May, Columbus Dispatch. Urban, Ezekiel Elliott, Joey Bosa opted to play. I'm over here. Ezekiel Elliott and Joey Bosa opted to play, obviously, in 2015, the bowl game, even though everybody knew they were leaving. I'm just wondering, with Draymond and Mike Weber opting to play, does your admiration for them grow a little bit? I don't know, for want of another term.
I think
I got
that's
one more,
a touchy situation. It's also, the players that leave early for the NFL draft. You'd like to see everybody play, but I've been involved in those conversations, and I certainly understand it. Denzel Ward, he's like a family member. Nick Bosa certainly is a family member. And then you got Draymond, Mike Weber, and others that have made a decision to play. I try to avoid that. I don't want to give my opinion because I don't want someone to say, well, you told us to do this. Same thing with leaving early. If you ask our opinion, then I try to talk to general managers, et cetera, to try to make sure we give them good advice, not opinion. And same thing with playing. I avoid that. And if they ask me, I say, this is a family decision. We'll support you either way.
And one of the quickie, you seemed to share a moment with J.K. Dobbins yesterday during the team photo. I mean, he seemed to break down maybe a little bit standing next to you. And are you going to miss? Are you going to miss that as much as anything else? And also, like you said, the deathly ill feeling before a game. Don't you kind of get used to that?
No, you don't get used to that, but I will miss the players. And the good thing is I think I'm going to still be in position at least to be around the players and hug them up and make sure that, the focus that I've had really the last part of my career is making sure that these guys don't get used by the system, that there's opportunities for them after the game, and that's what I'm going to be able to spend a ton of time on that.
All right, a gentleman in the plaid and then a lady in the pink.
Urban, Rob Aller, Columbus Dispatch. Over here. You said legacy is important to you to a certain point. Maybe at the top of that list is 7-0 against Michigan. Talking to players about how you handle that. Where did you learn, what's the key to that success, and how did you learn not to overemphasize it or underemphasize it? If you could speak to that.
Yeah, that started, that's a great question. I'm glad you asked that because it means the world to us. Rivalry games, I hear people say that it's just a named faceless opponent, and that's not the approach we've taken. We worked that game 365. When I was the head coach of Bowling Green, we did that at the team up north called Toledo. When we went to Utah, we did it a team down south to BYU. And then you had Florida, you had 3 rivals. You had Georgia, Tennessee, and Florida State, and then also Miami. So you had 4 at times. And that's not a game we work. That's something that our players know. And here, we work that game 365. We've already been working it out here. How do we do that? Follow recruiting, follow everything they do. And we take time out of the off season, take time during spring practice. Every practice we work on that. During the summer training camp, Coach Mick calls it the Team Up North Day, and then every day during training camp we work on it. So that was the Woody Hayes mentality. That's really been everyone's mentality at Ohio State.
Pink jacket.
Michelle Ledka, Q13 Fox Seattle. Question for Coach Peterson. Coach, you've spoken openly about changing your preparations this year versus the last couple of years. How do you think that's gone in the last couple of weeks, and how do you think your players are handling getting ready for tomorrow?
Well, we'll find out shortly. I think they practiced really hard. Certainly back in Seattle, we kind of just changed maybe the cycle of the practice schedule in terms of when we were going to go hard, when we were going to back off, and so that was a little bit different. But they practiced hard, they practiced well, and they're anxious to play.
Gentleman in the white shirt.
Yeah, Clay Hall, ABC6, Columbus, to you both. Coach Meyer, you referenced the hook and ladder. Is there a way to prepare for what he might bring? And Coach Pete, do you have a couple of those ready?
No.
I'll let Chris answer first. I don't want to hear that.
No, we don't.
No.
That's all I got.
No, we've worked on quite a bit, on special teams as well. We've been pretty good in kicking game. We just want to make sure that whenever a team has 3 weeks to prepare, and it's an excellent coach and coaching staff and great players, you got to work on it all, and we have, and I've been the thorn in the side of the defensive staff this week.
Gentleman in the third row in the dark blue jacket.
For Coach Peterson, this is Chris Egan from King 5 TV. Can you just talk a little bit about your senior class and how special they've been to the University of Washington and to football fans in the Northwest?
Yeah, they've been awesome. They've certainly helped change our program, the foundation. It's kind of interesting because I think there's, at one time there was like 10 of those guys that played as true freshmen. I don't know if they're still all with us. Some guys might have went to the NFL early and all those things, but they've just done it the way we've asked, and they've stayed really focused the whole time, and they've been great kids and been awesome to be around. It's really what you'd hope college football would be about, and I think we've, as coaches, gotten as much from those guys enjoyment as hopefully they've got from us, and even if they haven't enjoyed it the whole time, I think that they'll reap the benefits of our preaching and harping on them on the things outside of football. Certainly along with the things on football that we've talked about for years now.
Gentleman in the fifth row with bright blue.
Ray Stein, Columbus Dispatch. Coach Meyer, in the month or so since you announced your intentions to retire, there's been a lot of talk about your legacy, and I know you're preparing for a game and recruiting for the next level. You were doing that for the next seasons. Have you given any thought to how you are going to be perceived as you're done? Do you consider that at all? And if not, how would you like to be remembered, I guess, as a Ohio State football coach?
Well, just out of respect for our players and where we're at, I think that's inappropriate for me to even spend time thinking about that, because I've asked our players to shut it down. There's girlfriends, families, uncles, everybody coming out to visit right now, and I've asked them to shut it down. There's been talk forcing people like our quarterback to make decisions about the NFL, and I've asked him to just shut it down until after this game. The question you asked, I'd be untruthful. I said that doesn't matter to me, because of course it does. And I think there'll be an appropriate time to have those conversations. Certainly not the day before or the week of or the 3 weeks prior to the biggest game of this team's year. So it does matter, but at the appropriate time, and that's certainly not now.
Gentleman in the third row with the gray sweatshirt.
Chris, Dave Softy Mahler, KJR Radio Seattle. How much of a challenge is this week, honestly, what Coach Meyer just talked about with all the friends, family, parents, everyone coming down? How big of a circus, honestly, is this week to try and maintain and handle?
It's kind of the same, it seems like, every year. The first few days of when you're on site feel pretty good. I mean, I think the guys are excited to be here. There's really not a ton of distractions going on. It's about last night, yesterday, when you really start to feel them, when the majority of the people show up, family, friends, and that can be really, really distracting to the guys. And that's where you get to the point where you're like, we just need to go play this game.
Gentleman in the sixth row in the plaid.
Doug Maurice from Cleveland.com. Chris, this is for you, but it's also kind of for Urban as well. You guys are the same age. I think you have the two highest active winning percentages in college football. Where you are right now, to get to this point, to be as successful as you both have been and be at these big-time programs, how much of it was luck? How much of it was circumstance? How much of it was hard work, the decisions you make of what you're going to do with your career? I know that's a great big question, but just here you are and you guys have done really well. How did you do it? Chris, if you could start with that.
I think it's all those things. I don't think it's any one thing. You know, I think obviously starts with a lot of hard work, but there's no question you got to have some luck along the way. You know, we're both at two awesome places with tremendous foundations, administrations, people that want to really help you win. I mean, it doesn't matter, you know, how good of a coaching staff you have if you don't have the support underneath you to really help you do what you want to do. And that's the one thing I've learned throughout my career. I mean, you have to have a bunch of people around you that really are trying to, make this thing as successful as you are. You cannot do it with just a bunch of good players or a really good administration and not good enough players. I mean, it has to be the whole thing. And so I think, it's all those things you spoke about.
I have strong opinions about all those things. I haven't had the time to really research it, and so I'm very cautious how I say those things. And I try to live under the premise that, BCD is blame, complain, and defend, and that's something we permeate through our program, is that don't lose a game then. It's very simple. You want to get to the playoff, don't lose a game. Now, is there other problems on schedule strength? Some teams playing 9 league games, some teams not. A variety of things, but that's not a conversation within our team. It's really not a conversation anywhere. Maybe our athletic director and I, in passing chat about it, but no one's ever really asked my opinion in that room, the committee room, and I don't imagine they will. I think they're faced with an extremely tough decision. And we've been on the bubble every year, and one time we got in 14, and was it 16 we got in, and then the last 2 years we did not after winning our conference. So they have very strong opinions, but just not educated enough on everything that goes on. I would like them to review again what are the principles to get you in. What is it, that terrible loss, which we've had some bad losses, and that's our fault. That's don't lose a game and you're in the playoff.
I agree. That's easier said than done. But that's, when we were back at Boise, that's how it was. We just, for us to get, there was no playoffs then, but it was to get to a BCS game. And, if you don't lose, we just always felt if you take care of your own business, it's going to work out how it's supposed to. And that's kind of even how we said it. It's going to work out how it's supposed to, and it kind of always did. And, it's a little bit harder to win all your games. I mean, it really is. I mean, to have the kids having their A game every Saturday is really hard to do in the competitive environment that we all play in. And, for those teams that can do it, then, they need to go to that playoff. And then there's going to be some teams that are right there that are probably just as deserving. And you got to make subjective decisions on who goes. And, that can be hard.
Third row on the left in the black hat.
Thank you. Urban, what moment would you describe as your highlight leading up to this bowl game?
What moment?
I want a good story.
I'm sorry?
I want a good story.
I think everybody knows the moment, and that was in Columbus around Thanksgiving time, that big win, and see our players play at that level. And the seriousness, the respect we have for the rival, our opponent, I mean, it was an awesome week. And I had a good feeling about that game just because of the leadership on our team, and to see those players play like that, that was without doubt the best moment.
Do you have an update on Thayer Mumford's status?
That's a game time decision, yeah.
Gentleman in the back in the plaid.
Is that me?
Sure.
Chris, again, just having played in this stadium this year versus UCLA, does that give you any insight at all, any kind of advantage whatsoever, you think, tomorrow in this game? Does that mean anything tomorrow?
I don't think so. I mean, it's, I think when you pack it with the passion that'll be in there tomorrow, and, certainly the opponent you're playing, I mean, it's, feels like you're in a different place in a lot of different ways. Yeah.
Next question.
Urban, Doug Maurice. Ohio State's 85-9 in your tenure. You've been the best program in the Big Ten. You won a national title. You know all the great things that have happened at Ohio State. But as we sit here today, Alabama and Clemson are getting ready to play for the third time in 4 years in the national championship game. This isn't a playoff question about the losses or anything that kept you out, but as you get ready to hand this program over to Ryan Day, is there anything in the program that you think is, we just need to be a little bit better at that to be at that Alabama-Clemson level? Or do you feel like, you know what, we are at that level, we're as good as those teams, we just haven't quite made the playoff lately?
Ryan and I have spoke of that. What is the weaknesses of the program? Because Ohio State's and Washington's, they hire coaches and give you the support to go do that. And I don't want to say we failed, because that's a really, really tough word, but we have. And you can't lose that one game. And like Chris said, that is, go ahead. I told at the press conference with Ryan Day, here's your job. You beat the rival. Every other game you have to win as well. Every player has to get drafted in the first 2 rounds. No off-the-field issues. And never lose to that rival. And then, by the way, your classroom, you're dealing with 31 ACTs on the average. And I looked at him, I said, go get it, Tiger. That's what it is. But that's what, and I tell our players, I think this is a really good conversation, is that there's no one forced Chris Peterson to go to Washington. And those players, those great players he has, they understand that. And anytime I see someone like, man, this is, no, it's not. This is, you made a choice to come here. And this is a place of excellence. Well, we had a great year at 12-1, yeah, but we missed the ultimate prize. That doesn't mean we make everything so miserable around there. We thank them because they really gave great effort, but we're not embarrassed to say that we are at one of those programs that should be there.
Next question in the back corner.
All right, Coach Peterson, Lars Hansen from Rouse.com. You brought in a couple of former players from Washington this week for the Rose Bowl. What did that mean to you to have them talk to the team, and just what did you glean from them and their talk to the team?
No, there's some players down here, but we haven't had any of them talking to the team or anything like that. There's a function, I think, for some of the players that have played in the Rose Bowl and Husky legend type situations. Yeah.
What does it mean to have all those players down here, and just all of the former Huskies coming back for this game?
Yeah. Well, I think it's great. I think there's some great former Ohio State players here. I mean, it's just, that's the nature of this bowl game. Both these programs grew up with this being the pinnacle of the season. And, it's changed a little bit, with the playoff system now. But if you're not going to be in that, I mean, what other bowl is there to be at? I mean, this is it. This is the history, the tradition, the respect that, this is what college football is all about.
One last question.
Bill Rabinowitz again from the Columbus Dispatch for Urban. When you took this job 7 years ago, you had already won 2 national championships. Ohio State was Ohio State. When you look back at your 7 years here, what are you happy with, or what are you happy with what the program has achieved? Has this experience been everything you want it to be?
Once again, there'll be a time to reflect. My initial response is absolutely. This was never a job. This was very personal. Growing up a few hours from Ohio State, being a Buckeye as far back as I remember. I operated every day with a little bit of sense of fear because I never want to let people down, exclude the former great players that I idolized growing up. A state that I love, will always love. and a university that I've been passionate about since the day as far back as I can remember. So it has not been perfect, but to say that we worked, you can't tap us on the shoulder and say, boy, you just need to work a little bit harder, and there has been some great success, but yeah, I'm very pleased.
And that concludes today's media availability. I appreciate everyone coming out, and coaches, thank you for your time.